The silence in our house was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. It had been 6 months since Sarah died. 6 months since the world lost its color, its sound, its meaning. The house, once filled with her laughter, now felt like a tomb. I was just a caretaker, wandering through memories. Each room held a ghost, a whisper of a life we once shared. I kept her things just as she left them. Her half-finished book on the nightstand, her favorite mug by the sink, the faint scent of her perfume on the pillows. I'd find myself talking to her, asking her what she thought of the news, or if she'd seen where I left my keys. The silence was always the only answer. One evening, I was aimlessly scrolling through old photos on my phone when the Alexa on the kitchen counter lit up, its blue ring spinning to life. Incoming call from Sarah, it announced in its synthetic voice. My heart stopped. My blood ran cold. I stared at the device, my mind refusing to process the words. Sarah, it was a joke. A cruel, sick joke. Maybe a hacker or a glitch in the system. I stumbled to my feet, my hand shaking as I reached for the device. Alexa, stop, I croaked. The blue ring vanished. The silence returned, but now it felt different. It was charged, heavy with an impossible question. That night, I didn't sleep. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the sun to chase away the shadows and the absurd hope that had taken root in my heart. The next evening, it happened again, right on schedule, as I was washing the dinner dishes I'd barely touched. Incoming call from Sarah. This time, I didn't hesitate. A frantic energy seized me. Alexa, answer. I yelled, my voice cracking. Static. A faint, distant crackling filled the kitchen. Then, a voice. Her voice. David. It was thin, ethereal, like a whisper carried on the wind. Sarah? Is that you? Where are you? I was crying, tears streaming down my face, my knuckles white as I gripped the counter. I miss you, the voice whispered, each word a fragile echo. And then, the line went dead. The blue light on the Alexa faded. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, the sound of my own ragged breathing filling the void. It wasn't a hallucination. I heard her. It was her. The calls became a nightly ritual, my obsession. Every day, I lived for those few precious seconds of static and whispers. I bought new routers, upgraded my internet, anything to get a clearer connection. I spent hours researching paranormal phenomena, digital hauntings, anything that could explain what was happening. Friends called, worried. My brother stopped by, his face etched with concern. He saw the state of the house, the state of me. He told me I needed help, that grief was making me see things. I knew he meant well, but he couldn't understand. He hadn't heard her voice. He didn't know she was still out there somewhere, trying to reach me. This wasn't grief. It was a lifeline. Each call revealed a little more. She'd say my name. She'd say she was waiting. The connection was always terrible, like calling across an ocean during a storm. One night, I asked her, Sarah, what happened to you? The accident. I need to know. The static roared, and her voice came through, strained and desperate. Not me, David. Not me. The line cut out. Not her? What did she mean? My mind raced back to that horrible night. The screech of tires, the blinding headlights, the crushing impact. I remembered waking up in the hospital, the doctor's solemn face, the words, I'm so sorry, your wife didn't make it, but her words. Not me. A seed of doubt, cold and terrifying, began to grow. The sixth night, the call was different. The static was gone. Her voice was crystal clear, as if she were standing right next to me. David, she said, her tone urgent. He's in the house. You have to leave. Tonight is the 7th night. Before I could ask who, the line went dead. A primal fear, unlike anything I'd ever known, washed over me. He's in the house. Who? I grabbed the heaviest thing I could find, a fireplace poker, and began to search. Room by room, closet by closet, my heart hammering against my ribs. The house was empty. Of course, it was empty. I was losing my mind, but Sarah's warning echoed in my head. The 7th night. I looked at the clock. It was almost midnight. As the final minute of the 6th day ticked away, a floorboard creaked upstairs. In the bedroom, Our bedroom. I froze, the poker held tight in my trembling hands. I wasn't alone. Slowly, I crept up the stairs, my every sense on high alert. The bedroom door was slightly ajar. I peered through the crack. What I saw made my blood turn to ice. A man was standing by the bed, his back to me. He looked just like me. Same height, same build, same clothes I was wearing. He reached out and picked up Sarah's book from the nightstand, tracing the cover with his finger, a gesture so intimately mine it felt like a violation. Who was this imposter? I burst into the room, roaring with a mix of terror and rage. Who are you? Get out of my house. The man turned around, and I finally saw his face. It was my face, but it was wrong. The eyes were hollow, empty pits of darkness. A slow, cruel smile spread across his lips, a grotesque mimicry of my own. Your house? He chuckled, the sound deep and guttural, nothing like my voice. I don't think so. He took a step towards me, and I instinctively swung the poker. It passed right through him, like he was smoke. He didn't even flinch. I stumbled back, my mind shattering. He wasn't real. This couldn't be real. You've been so lost. The entity rasped, its voice a chilling symphony of whispers. Clinging to this place, clinging to her. It made it so easy to slip in, to take your spot. It gestured around the room. You died in the crash, David. Not her. The world tilted on its axis. No, it was a lie, a trick. I remembered the hospital. I remembered the funeral. Sarah survived, it continued, its smile widening. She grieved, she mourned, and then she moved on. She's not here anymore. My poker clattered to the floor. I looked down at my hands. They were translucent, shimmering. I looked at the mirror over the dresser, but there was no reflection. Only the monster wearing my face, staring back at me. Suddenly, the room grew cold. A soft, warm light began to glow from the corner, near the window. I turned, and there she was. Sarah, not a voice through a speaker, but her. She was beautiful, radiant, just as I remembered. She smiled, a sad, loving smile, and held out her hand. David, she said, her real voice washing over me like a warm wave. It's time to go, the entity behind me hissed. Stay with me, David. You can stay here forever. We can keep pretending. I looked from the thing wearing my life to the woman who was my life. The choice was agonizing. A false reality where I could keep my home, my memories, or an unknown future with her. But looking into her eyes, I knew there was no choice at all. This house wasn't my home anymore. She was. With one last look at the life that was stolen from me, I took her hand. The world dissolved into brilliant, loving light, and for the first time in a long time, the silence was peaceful. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the shadows.